You're a treasure hunter, okay? Today, you find yourself on an island. There, you'll need to crack twisted riddles, figure out the main mystery, and find the treasure. In the end, you'll calculate your points. Your old friend gave you a map of a small island for your birthday. He told you there were pirate treasures hidden in that place. Of course, you want to find them. You have a flare, a bottle of water, a compass, a flashlight, a phone, and a shovel. You sail to the island's southern coast and go into the jungle. Here, you see 3 roads with signposts. The first sign shows a bear, a lion is painted on the second one, and a pirate flag is installed in front of the third road. Which way should you follow? It's the 21st century now. The pilots have long been gone. Now there are no people on this island. It seems the flag indicates the route the pirates took when they went to hide their treasures. A lion and a bear may indeed live here, so you opt for the pirates' trail. You make your way through the dense jungle, leaving marks on trees not to get lost. Then you notice a small hut. You go inside and see a big chest with a rusty lock. Inspect the room. Is there anything here that can help you open the chest? There's a tire iron in the corner behind the broken chair. The lock seems weak, so you can easily tear it off. You open the chest and see nothing but an old map of the island. There are 3 marked points with treasure on the map. You leave the hut and follow the route to the first place. You find the wreckage of an old wooden ship. You wander over its deck. Suddenly, the boards crack under your feet, the floor breaks, and you fall into the hole. It's dark and cold here. You turn on your flashlight and see a chest. You touch it and hear a growl. A zombie pirate is slowly coming towards you. After a second, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. Why so? The pirate isn't real. It's a hologram. Behind it, a small projector is installed. It creates this digital zombie pirate. You pass through the hologram and open the old chest. There are precious stones inside. You put them in your pockets, get out of the ship, and look at the diamonds. You understand they're fake and made of plastic. You open the map and cross out the dot with the first treasure. Now you go to the second chest. Along the way, you continue to mark trees. You hear some hissing sound nearby. It's a snake. You don't know if it's venomous or not. It raises its head and looks at you. What will you do? Find a long stick and point it at the snake so that the reptile attacks it. Move to a safe distance and wait for the snake to crawl away. Hiss back loudly to scare the reptile off. You need to step back slowly not to provoke the snake. Now, when you're at a safe distance, just go around and continue on your way. The map leads you to a mountain cave. It's very dark and damp inside. You take out a flashlight, but it doesn't work. The battery has run out. You go into the jungle to make a torch out of twigs and leaves, but at that moment, it starts to rain. Look carefully at the cave entrance and think about how you can light it up. The solution is in your pocket. Send the flare into the cave. The dark place gets illuminated by the red light, and you can see a chest inside. The chest is huge, but unfortunately light. Inside, you find 1 gold coin. It seems real, but where is the rest of the treasure? At this moment, the red light goes out, and you hear the flapping of wings. You look up and see hundreds of eyes glittering in the darkness. Bats. They scream and fly in your direction. You don't have time to run out of the cave, and there are no more flares. What are you gonna do? Hide in the chest. There's lots of space. You jump in and close the lid. Bats fly past you and beat their wings against the chest. There is a crashing sound. You can feel the ground trembling beneath you. Then there's silence. You get out of the chest, go to the exit, and find that it's blocked by large stones. Fortunately, your phone is still working and can catch a signal. You call the rescuers and give them the coordinates of the island. That's not enough. The island is rather big, and the rescuers need the exact location. What will you tell them? You went into the jungle in the southern part of the island and left lots of marks on the trees. Rescuers can find you with their help. That's all. Now you just have to wait. A few hours pass. You've drunk all the water and fallen asleep. The rays of the sun wake you up. Someone has removed the stones and cleared the exit. But who did this? Rescuers or someone else? You cross out the second place on the map and head to the last treasure point. You make your way through the jungle and notice a grizzly bear nearby. It sees you too and stands up on its hind legs. The beast looks extremely unfriendly. You scream to scare the animal away, but it's not working. What shall you do? Run as fast as possible because bears are big and clumsy. Climb the nearest tree and sit there until the bear leaves. Lie on the ground in the fetal position and don't move. Bears run fast, so it'll easily catch you. They can also climb trees. So lie down on the ground and freeze. The bear sniffs at you for a few minutes, then walks away. According to the map, you have already come to the place where the third treasure is, but there's nothing around. It must be hidden underground. Natural diamonds might be here, gold might be hidden over there, and pearls can be right there. Where should you dig? You have already found plastic diamonds. Maybe the ones hidden here are fake too. Also, real diamonds are mined deep underground in rocks. Natural pearls are found on the seafloor. They can't be here. You need to dig the spot with the gold. You take out a shovel and dig for a few hours. You open the chest and put all the gold coins in the bag. Now you need to get to your boat quickly. Night falls. On the way, you meet pirates. They have sabers, parrots, and eye patches. They want to catch you and take away the gold. You understand that they are not real pirates, but just pretend to be them. How did you know that? The first pirate has a watch on his wrist. The second pirate is wearing sneakers. The third pirate holds a sword. There's a price tag on the sword handle. You've exposed the pirates, but they're still going to steal the gold. You run away to hide. You see 3 tall trees. Which one should you climb? There's a venomous snake hidden among the leaves of the first tree. When you look at the second tree, you notice a broken branch. You climb the third tree and wait for the fake pirates to pass by. Why is everything fake here? What's happening? At that moment, you hear someone calling your name. You look down and see a zombie pirate climbing a tree. You think it's another hologram, but the pirate grabs your foot with his cold, bony hand. You scream, and the pirate disappears. Did you see a hallucination? Was it a dream or reality? How do you find out? The pirate was a dream. It was night when you climbed the tree. It's morning now. You've been sleeping on the branch all this time. You get down and go to the boat you used to come here. It's located in the southern part of the island, and you realize you're lost. Because of the fake pirates, you missed your turn. But now, how can you find out where the south is? You need to look at the sun. It sets in the west, so you can figure out where the south is. Focus on the moss. It grows on the north side of the tree. That means the opposite side is south. What shall you choose? Or is there an easier option? You have a compass, remember? You go to the south and come to the shore, but you don't see any boat. You look around the area and realize that someone has dragged the boat into the jungle. How did you know that? There were human footprints and a long trench left by the boat in the sand. Someone was pushing it. You follow the trail and find the boat. It's hidden among the leaves and bushes. But you don't rush to get it because it's a trap. Why do you think so? Behind the trees, you see people's silhouettes. A hand sticks out of the bushes next to the boat. You need to get out of here as soon as possible. You turn around and hear, "Surprise!" These are your friends. They made this quest for your birthday as a present. The whole island is one big theme park dedicated to the pirate's life. All the pirates are actors, and the treasure and the sunken ship are just scenery. The snake wasn't venomous, and the bear was tame and wasn't going to charge at all. There are no real treasures. You get upset, but feel happy at the same time because you've been through a real adventure. Now it's time to see the score and find out how well you've done. 0 to 4 points. It seems you're not used to walking in the wild jungle looking for treasures. 5 to 8 points. You love adventure, but don't act like a professional. You need to train your attention and logic more. 9 to 12 points. Jungle, wild animals, a treasure map. For someone, it's a challenge, but for you, it's fun. 13 to 15 points. You're a real explorer and treasure hunter. You can easily navigate in foreign lands and cope with any problems.
A shrill ringing of your phone jolts you awake. Your friend, the best detective in the city, is on the line. "I don't have time to explain. I'm leaving the city in 20 minutes. You'll have to replace me for the next week or two. Don't try to contact me." As he hangs up, you're left sitting on your bed, the phone in your hand, staring into the darkness of your room. You have to deal with your first case already in the morning. An anxious man rushes into your friend's office. "I work as a cashier in a clothing store. Last night, I was the one to lock it up. As I was counting the money, the room suddenly went dark. There was some problem with the light bulb. I climbed the table and grabbed it, but by doing it, I burned my hand, jerked it back, fell to the floor, and lost consciousness. When I came to my senses, the money was gone." You examine the room attentively and realize the man is lying. What makes you think so? The light bulb the cashier told you about is an LED one. Such light bulbs don't get hot. Your first real case makes you hungry. You go to the nearest restaurant to get something to eat. But as soon as you enter, you hear loud, angry voices. A waitress and a visitor are arguing. "You also ordered chicken wings, and you have to pay for this dish." It's the waitress. The visitor looks tired and sleepy. "But I didn't. I haven't been here longer than an hour. Yes, I did doze off, but it doesn't mean I don't remember my order." You can't help but step in. "You know very well that this man couldn't have ordered chicken wings," you say. "How did you figure it out?" You spotted a note on the wall. It says, "The kitchen works till 1 p.m. today." It's now 3 p.m. The man claims he's been there for an hour, which means he came well after the kitchen was closed. After the accident, you decide to have a meal at another cafe. But as you come closer, you see a crying lady. "I was going to cross the road when some woman grabbed my purse and disappeared. I noticed her enter this cafe. Can you help me get my things back?" You enter the cafe. "Ah, that's my purse, right between those two women. But I can't recognize the one who took it. I didn't have time to look at her attentively." You don't need much time to figure out which woman is guilty. It's the one on the left. The woman on the right has her left arm in a cast. If she had taken the purse, she'd have put it on the right side of herself. After such an eventful day, you're exhausted. You fall asleep as soon as your head touches the pillow. But you get woken up just a few hours later. Another day, another case.
Oh, you're finally here.
A man tied to a chair looks happy.
Someone broke into my house this night, tied me, and stole all our valuables. Our mailman came early in the morning to deliver newspapers. He must have heard me shouting for help and called the police. Luckily, all our stuff was insured. But I hope to deal with this problem before my wife finds out about this.
You arrest the man for attempting insurance fraud. Why? You paid attention that the newspapers were on the table in the hall, not lying on the floor near the mail slot. Someone must have put them there. It could only be the house owner or his wife, who was an accomplice. After the police arrive, you leave the man's house and immediately receive a new call. Mrs. Smith claims that her neighbor, Mrs. Miller, has stolen her laundry. The woman says she hung the laundry in her backyard at 10 a.m. And when she went out of the house 2 hours later, she saw Mrs. Miller putting it in her bag.
I didn't do this. It's a lie.
The other woman looks angry. You look around and ask Mrs. Smith to go to the police station with you for trying to slander her neighbor. How did you figure out that Mrs. Smith was lying? It's freezing outside, and there's snow on the roofs. In 2 hours, damp laundry would be so frozen, it'd be impossible to fold it and put it in a bag. Your phone rings again. It's a woman who works at a museum.
You must help me,
she cries. When you arrive at the museum, she tells you her story.
Yesterday, I stayed late at work. I needed to prepare some documents. I was sitting at this table. The overhead lights were off, and the only source of light was my desk lamp. I was listening to music when suddenly I saw a shadow to the right of the table. I realized it was a person jumping out of the open window. I immediately switched on the overhead lights and discovered that an ancient vase I kept in my office was gone. This vase costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You didn't believe this story. Why? If the only source of light had been a desk lamp standing in front of the woman, she wouldn't have noticed the shadow to the right of the table. It turns out that before leaving, your detective friend gave your contacts to all his acquaintances. And now, one of them needs your help. You arrive at his jewelry store. A client came there several hours ago, planning to buy an expensive diamond ring for his wife. But someone stole his wallet right in the store. The manager, he was the one to call you, asked all the visitors who were inside at that time to stay until your arrival. You look at all these people attentively. Soon you know who took the wallet. It's the man in the middle. He has a bandage on his right arm, but it's wrapped over the sleeve of his jacket, not hidden under it, like a real bandage would be. You knock on a sturdy brown door, while a woman with a bandage on her head stands next to you. A man opens the door. "Excuse me," you say. "A pot plant fell out of your window an hour ago and hit this woman on her head. I had to take her to the hospital. She's okay now, but you need to compensate this woman for the damage. May we come in?" The man turns pale, but lets you in.
It can't be true. Our windows were closed because we've just returned home. I literally entered my apartment 2 minutes before you came.
You realize this man is lying and call the police. How did you figure it out? You spotted a pan with boiling water in the kitchen. If the man had indeed come home just a few minutes ago, the water wouldn't have had enough time to start boiling. Now, it's your friend who needs help. She owns a grocery store. A gust of wind blew a $100 bill out of her hands, and the money seems to have vanished into thin air. Your friend thinks it was one of the customers who took the bill, but no one wants to admit stealing the money. You ask all visitors to go to your friend's office when a woman speaks up. "It's incredible to be accused of theft. Here, you can check my bags right now." "Please, just come with me to the office. We'll figure it out there," you say. After the woman refuses to follow you, you call the police. Why? The woman is standing on the $100 bill. If she follows you, everyone will see the money. The next morning, rainy and gloomy, you get your next case. To investigate it, you need to visit the office of a large international company. Rebecca, the girl who called you, works there. She says, "I've just come back from brunch and discovered that someone had knocked our HR manager out just an hour ago." You question the people who were in the office at that time. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. He made her wait well past her appointment time. "And still," the girl says, "I would never hit another person. I'm also too weak to do it." Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was in a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob from Research and Development tells you he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. You immediately realize who hit the HR manager. It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining outside? You leave Rebecca's office and hear your phone beeping. You see a text with an address you don't know. You drive there. A man meets you at the door of a large building. He's shaking. When you enter a large dark hall, you see 2 containers filled with transparent liquid. 2 women are floating inside. They look identical. "One of them is my wife, but I can't figure out which one, and I'm allowed to open only one container." You walk around the women and examine them. Then you point at one of them. "That's your wife. How did you figure it out?" The man's name is Mark. It's written on his biker jacket. His wife is the woman with the letter M tattooed on her arm. Your phone beeps again. You look at it and see a message. It's from your detective friend. There's just one word on the screen. "Help!" But that's already another story.
Ever was having a birthday party. At one point, she noticed that her twin brother Noah went to his room with some girl. Ever wanted to take a closer look, but her friend distracted her. When she returned, the couple had already been gone. She had 3 suspects, Eliza, Jane, and Isla. When Ever went downstairs, she immediately realized which girl her brother was dating. Can you figure it out too? Eliza isn't wearing her cardigan. Ever saw it in Noah's room, hanging from the chair. So it must have been her who was in the room with the guy. Serafina was having a birthday party, and her guests brought her presents. Her boyfriend, Mason, got her a pair of beautiful high heels. Her sister, Daphne, got her earrings, and her best friend, Ada, got her a scarf. All the gifts were amazing, but Serafina still had one person to change their present. Who messed up? Mason. Look, both shoes are left ones. Esme got lost in the forest. After wandering around for hours, she finally came across the witch's house. She pet the cat and gave it its favorite snacks. After that, the girl asked the witch if she could help her again. The witch was packing. She was planning to go fishing the next day, but she had a problem. Her fishing rod was 13 feet long, and the transport company the witch was going to use only allowed to take things that were no longer than 12 feet. The witch couldn't figure out what to do and asked Esme to help. If she could find some solution, the witch would help her get home. Esme found a way to pack the fishing rod without breaking it or breaking any rules. What did she offer? The witch should pack the rod in a box the size 5 by 12 feet. Diagonally, the 13-foot-long fishing rod will fit perfectly, and the box will still only be 12 feet long. Ren came back from work and checked his mailbox. There were a couple of magazines and a letter. It turned out to be a love letter, but it wasn't signed. Instead, there were several numbers in the end. 18, 9, 12, 5, 25. Can you guess who sent Ren the letter? Each number indicates the position of the corresponding letter in the alphabet. The 18th letter is R. Letter number 9 is I. And letter number 12 is L. The 5th letter is E. And the 25th one is Y. So, Ren's secret admirer is Riley. It was the first day of college. Lily came there with her new cell phone, which she, of course, showed to all her friends. At one point, the girl went to the bathroom and left the phone on her desk. When she returned, the gadget was gone. She asked everyone in the class what they had been doing while she had been away. Cleo said she had been talking on the phone with her best friend. Charles said he hadn't been doing anything, just listening to music. Jake said that he'd been busy finishing his homework. That was enough for Lily to understand who had stolen her cell phone. Can you guess? Jake said he had been finishing his homework, but it's the first day of college. There can't be any homework. Vivian and Susanna are online influencers. Can you tell which one is likely richer? Pay attention to the number of followers each of them has. It looks like Susanna has way more people watching, so she probably gets more sponsorships. The police had been looking for Alex for months. They got the information he went to Cuba. That's what he told all his friends. But then he was accidentally found in Norway. The police know his girlfriend helps him, but they aren't sure who his girlfriend is. They ask Alex's friends who the guy is dating. But all of them name different girls, and all the girls deny being his girlfriend. Then, the police decide to check the messages the girls sent to Alex. Take a look at these texts and try to understand who his real girlfriend is. His girlfriend must be the one who knew where he was actually going. Looks like all the girls stay in touch with Alex, but the snowflake in Layla's text looks suspicious. You don't send snowflakes to people who go to Cuba, so Layla must be Alex's girlfriend and his accomplice. Take a look at the picture. Can you crack this puzzle? The answer is the number of times the line crossed in the image. It must be 3. Sierra found herself locked in a dungeon. She couldn't remember what had happened. She looked around and saw a door that could be a way out. But to open it, Sierra needed to know the passcode. Luckily, there was a hint. Sierra had just one try. If her guess was wrong, the dungeon would get locked forever. Can you help the girl decide which password is the correct one? If you take a closer look, you may notice that some of the digits are faded. This is probably because they were the most frequently used. These digits are 1, 3, 5, and 9. The only code that has all of them is the second one, 3915. That must be the one. Mrs. Darcy is a mother of 3 teenagers. Late at night, she was sleeping in her room when she heard some scratching, then the sound of the window closing. She realized that one of her children was trying to get inside or sneak out of the house. Take a look at Susie, Brittany, and Celeste's rooms. Can you tell which girl sneaks out at night? It must be Brittany. Look at the shoes by the door. They're all wet, so she must have just returned. A rich lady, Mrs. DeRavin, was looking for a nanny for her dogs. She invited 3 candidates and asked them why they wanted the job. Isla said that she was totally broke and she needed some money. Olivia said that she loved dogs, but her parents wouldn't let her have one. Liam said he had a lot of free time and thought of getting a job. Mrs. DeRavin let everyone go so she could think and make the final decision. After all of them had left, the woman discovered that her very expensive ring was missing. One of the candidates had probably stolen it. She asked them to come again, and when the woman saw them for the second time, she knew exactly who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It was Isla. Last time she said she was broke, but look at her now. She's wearing new designer clothes and gold earrings. She also has an expensive phone. She must have stolen the ring and sold it. A young girl, Georgia, got poisoned and was taken to a hospital. Detective Callum took up the case. He went to visit Maddox, Georgia's sister's boyfriend. Maddox hadn't heard the news yet. Your girlfriend's sister got poisoned. Do you know anything that could help the investigation? Maddox said, Poor Georgia, she's a good girl. I have no idea who could possibly want to poison her. The guy also showed the detective a picture of him, his girlfriend, and her sisters. After taking a look at the photo, Detective Callum immediately arrested Maddox for poisoning the girl. Why? In the picture, there are 4 girls. This means Maddox's girlfriend has 3 sisters. Then how did the guy know which one had been poisoned? Lyra met 2 guys online. The girl was trying to decide who she should go on a date with. Asher said he loved summer sports. He even played hockey professionally. Oliver said that he played basketball. He was on the state's basketball team. Lyra figured out that one of the guys was lying, so she chose the other one. Can you tell who's lying? It's Asher. He said that he likes summer sports, but hockey isn't a summer sport. The guy would know it if he really played it. Once a company owner returned to his office and realized someone had been there and used his computer. Of course, no one but him was allowed to use it. He walked out of the office, looked at his workers, and immediately realized who had done it. Who was it, and how did the man know? It must be this woman in the middle. Take a look at the director's office again. The mouse is on the left side of the computer. It means the person who broke into the office was left-handed. The woman's left hand is covered in ink. That's because she's left-handed and slides her hand over her writings. Kai broke into his music teacher's office. He wanted to print out the answers for the next day's test, but the computer required a password. Luckily, there was a post-it note that said 4361. Can you guess the password? Take a look at the wall. There is a list of music notes hanging there, but you need the letters. Now, the 4th one is F, the 3rd one is E, the 6th is A, and the 1st one is C. The password must be FEAC. Jordan was very late for a job interview. When he drove up to the office building, he found out there was no free parking spaces. He decided to leave his car a bit further from the entrance. Oh no! Even though there were several other vehicles in that place, parking was prohibited there. Luckily, Jordan came up with an idea and didn't get fined. What did he do? He took a parking ticket from another car and put it on his windshield. It looked as if he'd already been fined. Julia took part in a cooking competition. She decided to prepare her favorite muffins. She did her best and the muffins looked great. But when the jury members tried them, they started to pull faces and splutter. It turned out someone had replaced the sugar Julia was going to use with salt. The girl understood she had lost her chance to become the winner, but at least she could figure out who had done it to her. She had 3 other competitors. Wayne told her he hadn't even been there. He forgot to buy several ingredients and did some last-minute shopping. Amber said that she had been preparing the icing for her cake, and Diana told Julia that she'd been very busy with her recipe. It was complicated, and she had to follow it precisely. Very soon, Julia knew who had spoiled her muffins. And have you figured it out? It was Amber. She said she'd been preparing the icing, but her cake was only sprinkled with some powdered sugar. That day, famous chef Christina was going to have some very important guests in her restaurant. She was anxious because her future depended on how they would appreciate her food. Everything had to be perfect. There was only 1 hour left before the guests were supposed to arrive, and that's when Christina discovered someone had left ugly red handprints on her sparkling white jacket. She examined the stains. It was ketchup. Christina knew that some of the cooks didn't like her. She decided to find out who was behind the accident. Look at the cooks and try to help the chef figure out who's guilty. There's a pair of gloves stained with something red in the trash can. The only person who isn't wearing any gloves is the cook on the left. He was the one to spoil Christina's uniform. Nancy was angry with her boyfriend Paul and sent him an email. In it, she told the guy she was going to break up with him. But just an hour after sending the message, the girl found out Paul had done nothing wrong. Now, she needed to delete the email from his computer. The girl knew Paul was at work, so she sneaked into his house. But the computer was protected by a password. Nancy thought the word she needed could be her name. Paul loved her very much after all, but the girl was wrong. And then an idea came to her mind. She typed in a word, and this time it was correct. Look at what Nancy saw on the screen and try to figure out the password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. B, R, Y, M, P, N, A, C, B. The password was 67683. These numbers correspond with the letters of Nancy's name. Linda was in a cafe with her boyfriend, and their date wasn't going very well. At some moment, they both got angry and started to argue. Suddenly, their waiter came up to the table and handed something to Linda. It was a note with a strangely written word. Little t, big R, little O, big U, little b, little L, little e, question mark. Linda was confused. What could it mean? Can you figure it out? The waiter got worried and asked Linda, "Are you in trouble?" Dennis called the police and told them a large sum of money had disappeared from his dorm room. He thought it was one of his neighbors who had done this. The police came and questioned the guy's neighbor. Deborah, a designer, told the officers, "I had to finish an important project. That's why I pulled an all-nighter. When I sent the final version to the client in the morning, I went to bed and only woke up when you came." Aaron, a waiter, said, "I've had a very long shift today because one of my colleagues got ill. I haven't seen Dennis since yesterday." And Nathan, a vet, said, "I've just come back home. One of my patients called and told me he felt unwell. I had to hurry to the hospital where he was and stay with him." The police officers immediately understood who was lying. And you? It was Nathan who had taken the money. He lied about a patient calling him. He's a vet. Look at these three young ladies. Can you figure out who the cat belongs to? Its owner is the blonde girl. The cat has torn her t-shirt. What does this rebus puzzle mean? MIL1LION. That's 1 in a million. Susan worked as a nurse in a hospital. One day, she came to make injections to 3 patients. After this injection, it was prohibited to get up, and Susan specifically warned the patients to stay in bed. But when the woman came back, she realized one of them had gotten up while she had been away. Who was it, and how did she understand it? It's the guy on the left. His phone is now plugged in, but the outlet is quite far from his bed. John was hungry. He took something, threw away the outside, and cooked the inside. Then he ate the outside and threw away the inside. What snack did he have? An ear of corn. Jason smuggled antiques into the country. This time, it was a beautiful ancient vase. In no time, he found a person who was ready to buy it. As agreed, Jason came to the park. He had a bag with the vase inside. The guy left it on the bench and hid behind the trees. In less than a minute, a bulky man came up to the bench, grabbed the bag, and went away. When Jason approached the bench again, he saw a note. In it, there was a code. Roads and roads. What is the hidden word? Jason needed just a few seconds to realize the word in the note was crossroads. But which crossroad did his client mean? The guy looked around and saw a modern hotel. Its name was Crossroads. Jason headed for the hotel. He told his name to the receptionist and received yet another note. There was just 3 letters: F, B, D. After some thinking, the guy understood what the room number was. Do you know it too? It's room 624. F is the 6th letter of the alphabet, B is the 2nd, and D is the 4th. Jason got to the 6th floor and found the room he needed. The door was indeed open. On the table, there was one more note, hopefully the last one. It had 3 images, a lamp, a bottle of water, and a key. Next to the lamp, there was a downward pointing arrow. Near the bottle, there was an arrow pointing to the left. And to the key, there was an upward pointing arrow. Where is the money? It's under the cushion on the sofa. This cushion is on the right side of the bottle, lower than the lamp, and higher than the key, which is lying on the floor. Emily came to the police station to report her diamond ring stolen. Only me, my husband, and his best friend Larry knew where I kept the ring. My husband has been away on business for 3 weeks. When he left, the ring was still in my jewelry box. It means Larry must have taken it. Detective Richardson visited the man. I know nothing about the ring, and I would never do something like this to my friend. That was when the detective noticed an inconspicuous jewelry box on the shelf over the table. May I have a look? Inside, he saw a diamond ring. This ring was left for me by my great-grandfather. He bought it in Europe decades ago. I even have some papers proving my words. When Detective Richardson looked at the documents, he realized Larry was lying. How did he figure it out? Look at the date. It's February 30th. The documents are fake. How about this rebus puzzle? Let's see how fast you'll crack it. Working time. It means working overtime. Kayla was staying in a hotel in Paris when someone broke into her room and took all her expensive stuff. The police had 3 suspects. Alan said, "I was trying to pour myself some coffee downstairs, but with my arm in a sling, it was so difficult." Mary told the police, "I was at the reception trying to solve some issues with my shower." And Bruce said, "I was sleeping. It was so loud at night I couldn't rest at all." Who broke into Kayla's room? It was Alan. Look at his cast. He's wearing it over his sweater, so it must be fake.
Penny was alone in a hotel room. All of a sudden, somebody knocked on the door and a man came into the room. But when he saw Penny, he apologized and said he must have entered the wrong room. As soon as he went out, Penny called the police. Why? Penny thought something was wrong because the man knocked on the door before entering. If he really believed it was his room, he wouldn't have knocked. He must have done it to check if there was someone in the room. 4 people are sitting at a table next to you in a cafe. There's a man, Jason, and 3 women, Rosie, Sarah, and Claire. Can you guess which woman is his wife? Even though Sarah's wearing an outfit that looks very much like the one Jason's wearing, she's not his wife. She doesn't have a ring. Claire has no ring either, but Rosie has a matching one. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. In order to stop it from happening, He needs to know the month the heist is planned for. Later, the police managed to find a clue. It was a note with a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? The detective cracked the code almost immediately. A jar in the picture stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. Ah, June. There are 12 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. The other day, Annabelle was rummaging around her auntie's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it could be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost $5 for each silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Annabelle could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. But she was really smart, so she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains together, which cost her $20. One day, Stephanie got lost in the woods, and no wonder, in the end she stumbled upon an old witch's house. The door cracked open and she came in. The witch turned out to be really kind and promised Stephanie to make her one dream come true if she cracks a riddle. Stephanie was dreaming of a new phone, so she agreed. The witch asked, if 11 plus 3 equals 2, what does 8 plus 6 equal? It took Stephanie quite a while to come up with an answer, but she nailed it. What was the answer? $11 plus 3 equals 2 o'clock. 8 o'clock plus 6 equals 2 o'clock too. Hop on the bright side of life together with our brand new tees, hoodies, and more. Click the link to pick your choice. You're getting hungry and want to boil a 2-minute egg. If you only have a 3-minute hourglass timer, a 4-minute hourglass timer, and a 5-minute hourglass timer, how can you boil the egg for only 2 minutes? When you see the water boiling, turn the 3-minute timer and 5-minute timer over. When the 3-minute timer runs out, you need to put the egg in the boiling water. You'll have 2 minutes on the 5-minute hourglass timer, and when it finishes, take the egg out of the water and enjoy your meal. Mr. Wright had a small store in Chicago called 5 Flags, but there were 6 flags hanging outside. He could easily correct that mistake, but he didn't. Can you figure out the reason? At first, it was just a mistake, but later Mr. Wright noticed that people would often come to his store to tell about that problem, which increased his sales. A wise king realized he was tired of all the hard work he had to do, so he decided to find someone who could replace him. He decided to make a challenge, and the one who nails it will become the new king. Anyone who wanted to take the throne needed to put a whole cucumber into a glass bottle without cutting the cucumber or damaging the bottle. The participants had a week to do it. This challenge seemed to be impossible, so only 5 people decided to take part, and there was only one winner. How did he put the cucumber in the bottle? He placed a baby cucumber still on its stem into the bottle. Cucumbers grow rather fast, so he had enough time to win that competition. If it's raining at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it'll be sunny? Nope, in 72 hours it's going to be night again. You see a bathtub filled with water. You have a spoon, a cup, and a bucket. Which will you choose to empty the bathtub? Obviously, choose to pull out the plug. Allison majored in math at university. Her roommates wanted to test her intelligence. They took 3 envelopes and wrote short messages on them. Then they put the answers to Allison's exam questions in one of the envelopes. Only one envelope had a truthful message written on it. The other 2 were false. Allison wasn't allowed to open the envelopes and could only pick one. The first message read, "There are no exam answers here." The second was, "The exam answers are here." And the third message read, "The exam answers aren't in the second envelope." Which envelope should Allison pick? The third one. It tells the truth, which means the exam answers are in the first envelope. Joanna and Josh were on their honeymoon in France. On the first day, they went on a city tour around Paris and left all their stuff in the hotel room. When they came back, someone was standing outside their door trying to get in. The couple called the receptionist right away, but the man claimed Joanna and Josh owed him some money for the tours they had taken in the past 4 days. The receptionist knew the man was lying right away. How did he figure it out? It was the couple's first day in the hotel. Russell and Anna were on vacation. One day, Anna told Russell she couldn't go to the beach with him because she was feeling unwell. When Russell came back to the room to grab his phone, Anna was gone. He found her by the pool and asked, "Are you here alone?" She nodded, but Russell immediately realized she was lying. How? There were 2 soda pops on her table and 2 fruit platters. Apparently, this was also going to be Russell and Anna's last vacation together. Gregory was on a mission to take some nature photos for his blog. As he was walking through the forest, he fell into a deep pit. He tried to climb out of it, but in vain. When he held onto one rock, it gave away, and water started to pour inside. The pit was filling fast. Gregory saw a deflated ball, an empty barrel, and a piece of wooden board. What should he use to get out of the pit? Well, the deflated ball is too small and has a slit in its side. The wooden board won't support his weight. The best option is the empty barrel. It'll keep Gregory afloat. Paul and Pauline left for their honeymoon and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the woman found out that she had lost all her expensive jewelry because of a power outage. The woman had hidden her jewelry in a supposed safe place. The house wasn't robbed. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry got lost by accident. What happened? The wife had hid her jewelry in the freezer in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, all the food spoiled. The kind-hearted neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food, together with the jewelry. There's a barrel of water in the yard. You look inside and say that it's more than half full, but your friend argues it's less than half full. How can you figure out who's right without using any measuring tools or removing water from the barrel? Tilt the barrel so that the water touches its rim. If you can see the bottom, the barrel's less than half full. If the bottom is still covered with water, it's more. Mark, Jim, and Bob work as managers in the same office. One day, one of them is fired, and one gets a promotion. The remaining manager wants to resign at first, but then changes his mind. You know that the one who's fired is older than the rest and single. Jim's younger than the manager who has decided to stay at work, and he doesn't know Bob's wife. Who's fired? It's not Jim because he's younger than the manager who stays. It's also not Bob because he's married. It means that Mark has been fired, Jim has got a promotion, and Bob has decided to stay in his position. You wake up in a room with no windows or doors. The ceiling is extremely high, and the only way out is a closed hatch at the very top. Suddenly, the room starts filling with water. You've checked everywhere. There's no way to turn it off. You know that help is on the way, but they won't be here for at least 5 minutes. You're pretty sure the entire room will be flooded in 2. You definitely can't hold your breath for that long. You look around and find 3 objects: a straw, some rope, and a bucket. Only one of them can actually save you in this situation. Which one should you choose, and how's it going to help? You should take the bucket, flip it over, and put your head inside when the water gets to head height. You'll have your very own small air pocket to help you breathe until help arrives. Uh-oh, you're in a building that just caught on fire. You need to escape, but the fire just keeps spreading and spreading. You're feeling dizzy, and the smoke is making it hard to see. And the heat? It's insane. Suddenly, you see 3 paths that lead outside, but it's not going to be so simple. There's no fire near the first exit, but it's on the opposite side of the burning room. The second exit is right in front of you, but the upper part is completely covered in flames. The final exit is through the kitchen. There's shattered glass everywhere, but the flames are barely touching it, and the door is wide open. Which exit should you take? Even though the first exit isn't on fire, an indoor blaze is totally unpredictable. Flames can pop up out of nowhere. Going through a kitchen is never a good idea in a fire. There might be exposed gas lines in there. Your best bet is to go for the closest path and crawl your way to safety. Well, you're stranded in the middle of a desert and are in desperate need of water. You crawl along, trying to find any source to hydrate yourself. As nighttime rolls around, the wind gets stronger and it starts to get cold. You sit down next to a tree. How are you going to find water in the middle of a desert? Grab 2 of the largest tree branches you can find, and then rip your outer shirt and stretch it out over them, kind of like a sail. Shove the 2 branches into the sand to anchor them. The water in the atmosphere will get caught on the cloth and drip down for you to collect. Well, you're tied up on some railroad tracks and can't wriggle free. There's a train heading your way, and it doesn't look like it's stopping. Oh well, if you stretch your arms out, you can just reach a lighter, a small pocket razor, and a can of oil. Which can you use to escape? Pour the oil on the ropes holding you down. It'll act as a lubricant, and you'll be able to wriggle free. Taylor finished another awesome ice fishing session. He packed up his gear and walked back home with his dinner. Halfway back to the car, he realized he was being followed by a hungry cougar. It started chasing him. Taylor was so close to his car, but the cougar was gaining on him. What should he do? He should fling the fish to the side to distract the cougar. Then he should ditch all his gear. It's just slowing him down. That way, he's got a chance of making it to the car before he turns into cougar chow. Well, you find yourself in a pitch-black room. The room is huge, and there are many hallways and corridors leading to unknown places. You need to find your way out before the room starts heating up like an oven. You only have 2 minutes. You can feel some pipes on the wall, but nothing else. How can you save yourself? When the pipes start heating up, they'll probably turn red. It'll already be super hot by then, but you'll have just enough time to figure out the layout of the room and find a way to escape. Angela decided to go for a nice walk in the forest. About an hour in, she tripped and spilled all her water. No problem. Right in front of her was a tiny lake, and close by a small stream and a cactus. Which one should you use to get herself a refreshing drink of water? She should head for the stream. That lake isn't moving. That means it probably has bacteria living in it. And a single cactus won't have enough water to quench your thirst. Even though the stream is pretty small, moving water is almost always the safest option. What are those things? Oh, paw prints. Those are bear tracks heading to the forest, a wolf print coming out of the forest, and some elk prints heading toward a lake. Well, what's the best place to go if you're not into the whole being eaten thing? Think fast. The bear going into the forest probably scared that large dog off. Oh, you thought those were wolf prints? Not likely. Wolves mostly travel in packs. The bear is most likely chasing the elk, so they'll both end up at the lake. That means the forest's safe for now. You're stuck in a well in a small village, and the water's already up to your knees. There's a rope leading to the mouth of the well, but it's definitely not strong enough to hold you. You look around and find a bucket, some clothing, and a lighter. How do you escape? Shove the clothes in the bucket, tie the bucket to the rope, and light the clothes on fire. Then quickly hoist the bucket up. Chances are, in such a small village, someone will see the smoke and run over to help you. Kate finished her morning hike and decided it was time to go home. She saw a vintage Jeep parked by the hiking path. While she was admiring it, a huge grizzly appeared in front of her. The bear didn't seem that interested in her, for now, but that could change any second. There was a large screwdriver on the floor by the Jeep. What can she do to make sure the bear won't be interested in her? She can puncture the gas tank with the screwdriver and douse herself in gasoline. That way, the bear wouldn't be so interested in her scent. Eric was out camping and he needed some light to see in the dark. He reached into his tent, but his flashlight wasn't working for some reason, and his phone only had 10% battery. He looked around and saw a bottle of water, an empty sandwich bag, his hiking boots, and a pillow. What can he do to make more light? He can take his phone and put it right next to the water bottle. The water inside the bottle will diffuse the light, making it much brighter. Adrian and Jack went rock climbing all day, then realized it was time to head home. After a long walk through the woods trying to get to their car, they realized they were totally lost. They'd never been in these woods before. They didn't have a clue what to do. What's worse, Jack collapsed from exhaustion and couldn't take another step. Adrian tried to lift him up, but Jack was too heavy. Night was approaching. He tried to call for help, but neither phone had any signal. His only choice was to venture out and seek help. He checked both gear bags and found a small pick hammer, some ropes, some sturdy locks, and a harness. What should he do? Adrian should put on the harness and tie all the ropes together to make one huge long one. Then he should tie one end to Jack and one end to his harness. That way, if he got lost in the woods, he'd be able to find his way back to Jack. That's one long rope. Nora's family was out for the day, and she was going to surprise them all with a triple chocolate raspberry cake. Right after plugging in her mixer, she heard a small pop, a fizz, then the electricity shorted out, and her precious mixer broke out in flames. Her phone was in the other room. Quick, help her. She's got to stop the flames from getting worse while she sprints over to get her phone and call for help. What should she do? She could take some flour and dump it all over the mixer. It'll tame the fire and buy her enough time to call for help. Roy went out for a small walk in the forest right behind his house. He was having a great time, chucking stones at trees and thump. He launched the stone right into a beehive. A swarm of bees flew out and started chasing him. His house was pretty far away by this point, and there were tons of bushes and shrubs in his way. There was a huge open field in front of him with a deep lake in the middle. Where should he go to escape the angry bees? Jumping into the water to escape from a swarm of bees doesn't work. They'll just wait right above you and sting you when you resurface to breathe. The trick is to run as far away as you can, head for the house, and shut the door, Roy.